incredible refuge called the Dhamma. The refuge which takes us away from that world, which brings you within, which gives you a safety from all of those things of the world which are out of our control, basically. And what a marvelous thing that is, that you have these things. The majority of the people of the world, they may despair when these things happen. But if you have an alternative, there's no reason for despair anymore, because you have that refuge from the problematic world outside. And when you see it like that, you can rejoice in these teachings. You can rejoice in the Dhamma, which gives you a way out. And those of you who have had some experience in meditation, some degrees of happiness and joy, and some degrees of an alternative world, a world which turns away from conflict, because that inner world of peace and happiness is a world of harmony, and it leads to harmony also outside when your inner world is kind of balanced and in the right way. So those of you who have that experience, you know that there is an alternative. You know there is another way. You know there is a real refuge from these things. You just have to turn in a very different direction from where most people turn when there are these kind of problems. There's grounds for rejoicing. There's ground for being so happy that we have this. Rejoicing in the Dhamma, rejoicing in the Buddha, rejoicing in this possibility. And when you see it in that way, you can give sense, even give sense to rise of joy. A sense of joy in times that are very difficult outside, precisely because you have something so valuable that gives you that support in life in general. So that's just a very brief few words, and trying to kind of give rise to some positive perceptions in meditation practice. So let's see if we can put this into practice. Okay, so just some very general reminders, just to start out by just allowing peace to come to you gradually, just sitting down, allowing the world to fade into the background gradually. And remember, this is not something you can do by an act of will, but something that you allow to happen by knowing that the peace within is far superior than the world outside. Allow things to fade and enjoy the gradual arising of peace. And as you carry on and allow your mind to become peaceful, remember that meditation really is about just going with the flow, not trying to make it happen, but allowing it to happen all by itself. And the more you can go with the flow and allow things to be, the more meditation tends to happen. And all you have to do is to gently nudge the mind in the right direction, remembering that the only refuge in the world is within. So what is the point of being interested in the world outside? There's nothing there of true interest. More turmoil, more war, more problems, going on endlessly. So bring your attention within instead. Bring it to the real refuge on the Buddhist path. Okay, everyone, so coming close again to the end of the meditation. And just before we come to the end, please just take a few moments to review what has happened and try to understand the cause and conditions that drive the meditation practice. Okay, everyone, so that is the meditation for today. Are there any comments or questions or issues that we should deal with? Please, yeah, I think we need a microphone. Bill, there's a lady in the front here. Are they allowed to ask questions from the floor? Yeah? Okay, very good.
Thank you. I've been meditating on and off for years, and sometimes I go away from it. I'm trying to make it a practice part of my life. I'm finding as I'm getting older, I notice when I sit, I lose my circulation in my legs. Like I actually feel like when I finish the meditation, like I can't stand sometimes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is that? And then so I put my legs forward and I get my circulation back and.
Yeah.
Is that, and I was just like sometimes when there's body pain with hips, and I was just wondering, given that you obviously have been meditating for a long time, is that something that's normal, that's experienced where you do lose circulation?
Very normal.
I kind of bear with it, but I just wondered if there was any tips or I readjust. So
it's very.
I would like to know too.
Very normal, and unfortunately very normal. So you just. Ideally, you don't want to have too much pain in the body because it's just very distracting, really, from meditation practice. So what I would recommend you do, if you try to find a posture that is kind of comfortable for you. There is no magic to any one posture which is right. And there's various things. You can see I use double cushion, for example. Yeah. So it's kind of, so you find something which works for you, something where you can be as comfortable as possible. Sometimes you can also change your posture. Yeah, you can either change your posture during meditation, or you can change your posture between meditation if you are on a retreat, for example. And all of these things are perfectly acceptable. I would not usually recommend. A little bit of pain in the body is unavoidable, but sitting with pain for long periods of time is usually counterproductive. I would not recommend that at all. So just try to be wise about it. Try to kind of move around a bit. And it's perfectly okay. You see many people here sitting on chairs. I know people who get into really deep meditation on a chair. Yeah, it's not really a hindrance to deep meditation at all. So this look at this meditator next to you there. That's pretty. That's a really profound. Looks very profound. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
I think it is normal, but it does distract me. So, but then it was interesting. I just try and bear with it, but I would like to go into deeper meditation, and anyway, it's a process. So
you just have to test it out and try different things, and see what happens eventually. So, Okay. So there's a few questions from outside, so let's have a look at those. First one is from Germany. So hello, Germany. I feel lost in the world for quite a long time because I don't know what to do with my life and I don't know in which direction to go. Could you please give me some advice? Thank you. Well, it's, sometimes in the world we are kind of obsessed about direction and doing something with our life. But what really matters in life is not actually what we do in terms of, ordinary worldly goals. What matters in life is how we do what we do. And really, the most important thing in life is kind of having a sense of progress in the inner life, with your inner being, so that you live a life of kindness, you live a life of compassion, of understanding other people, live a life of wisdom where you try to understand the world. And part of that wisdom is to understand that, the world outside is, one of the things that is obviously happening in the world right now is, people going to war and that sort of thing. And that's usually very traumatic for a lot of people, especially those people who live in those areas probably. But when you understand that that world is... the inner life is actually what really matters at the end of the day, because that outer world is always going to be problematic, regardless of what you do. It starts to turn your life in a different direction, a direction which is more inward-looking and more looking towards developing the inner qualities instead. And that is what matters in the end of the day. So I would just, if I were you, focus on those things, focus on the spiritual aspects, and ask yourself, how can you be of use for the world? Because when you are of use for the world, it's like you are making your life into an act of generosity. Can you do something to do acts of charity? Can you do something to help somebody out? Is there something you can do? Can you act with more kindness in general in the world? You don't have to do anything important. What is important is the qualities by which you approach whatever you do in the world. So ask yourself if you can be of help, of service, be of some kindness to people. Start with the people just around you, your family, your relations, your neighbors, whoever it is, and then kind of expand and ask yourself what you can do. And then gradually you will start to find meaning, because real meaning is not ultimately found in your work or the external things. Real meaning is found on the spiritual path. Okay, this is from Venerable Vimutti. Is sense restraint a practice that occurs outside of or within formal sitting or sitting meditation? Well, sense restraint is mostly a practice that occurs in daily life. It is about just having enough awareness to see what is happening with your mind, and then if you see, and especially it is ill will and anger and irritation that is really problematic, that is most worthy of focusing on. Of course, also very powerful desires is problematic, especially as a monastic. So you want to basically just be aware in general during daily life, and then try to avoid those things if you can. During meditation, also to some extent, if you find during meditation that you kind of give rise to unwholesome qualities, obviously it's going to be problematic. So then you can do sense restraint, do a reflection on the disadvantage of that thought or whatever, and then move in a different direction, even during meditation itself. So mostly outside, but sometimes also required within meditation. Then we have one from the USA. I have anxiety disorder. I'm dealing with it since a long time. I'm trying to heal. I wanted your suggestions in my step towards healing. Thank you. Deep-seated psychological problems is not really the Buddhist path. It's not really aimed at resolving those things. You can give general advice, but you may find that you really need some, more specialist support to be able to deal with these kind of things, especially if they're very deep-seated. And sometimes these traumas sometimes don't even know where they come from, why we have anxiety. Some people are born with lots of anxiety. Some people don't have any kind of anxiety. There's this kind of incredible variety in the world. So, but generally anxiety is obviously a kind of fear. Yeah, anxiety and fear are very closely related to each other. And fear and anxiety are always about the future, concerned that things are going to go wrong. Yeah? And so as a general principle, it is kind of trying to look at the future with different eyes. What can go right rather than what can go wrong. Yeah? And if you are on a spiritual path, if you are practicing Buddhist teachings or whatever, you're living well, you are moving towards the brightness, you're moving towards the light, you're living in a way that will give you positive results in the future. Your future is bright if you're doing this. This is what matters to having a bright future, how you live. If you live with kindness and all of these kind of things, you're heading in the right direction. So try to see that you are heading in the right direction. And if you see that, the more you see the future in a bright way rather than seeing the problems that might arise, as a general principle, gradually, it's going to take time. Gradually, hopefully you can overcome some of that anxiety and fear. So, So good luck. But there is obviously no kind of magic bullets here, or there's, you just have to, it's a kind of gradual thing to come out of these things. So. Okay, next one. Dear Ajahn, despite the chaotic mind of 10 years ago, jhana was happening easily. And I like to say I downloaded profound insights motivated by suffering and the power of teaching here. Okay. Now I rarely touch the level of deep breath or kanika samadhi, despite the mind is quite calm and the parami is more developed than before. Seems that my system doesn't believe anymore in the process. Okay. So I guess maybe what you need to do is to, maybe if you don't believe in the system, well, if you had really profound experiences before, you should believe in the system because you've already been there. So I'm not sure why you don't believe in it. It sounds a bit strange if you really had profound experiences. Those are the ones that make you believe, because you have seen them for yourself. So maybe what you need is to see some good teacher. Come to WA, I don't know where you're from, fly in from wherever you live in the world, fly from. If you have to fly from halfway around the world, it's worth coming for the spiritual practice. So come in from New York or whatever, and see Ajahn Brahm and say, Ajahn, I have lost my faith, and then bang, he will set you straight right away. Sometimes you need to be inspired by something. You need to see the reality of these teachings. And I have often found in my life that when I see someone who practices these teachings profoundly, and I've met a few kind of remarkable people in my life, that actually gives rise to a lot of faith, because you see something which is not normal in the world. You think, wow, is that possible? How can someone be so consistently kind all the time, never really have any anger? How can they be so cool at all times? How can they be so extraordinarily peaceful? How can they have so much compassion? And when you see these things, it kind of that's that confidence in that person, seeing that, then it gels with the suttas, and the whole thing starts to kind of come together in a beautiful way here. So I'm not sure what is happening with you, but if you are getting some peace and calm, what I would recommend you at the very least, just enjoy that and don't try too hard to come back to what you had before, because that is going to lead to even more suffering for you. So enjoy what you have, and then hopefully with time it's going to come back again. Eventually. Focus on the causes of meditation. Remember that the causes of meditation really are kindness, deep kindness coming from within, very much a part of your mental outlook and your mental world. Okay, last one. Ajahn, I have anxiety, and when I was doing the meditation just now, I feel my heart bump really fast and loud, and I find myself hard to meditate. Should I stop with this situation? Maybe you should stop, because it sounds quite uncomfortable, and so maybe you should do some other kind of meditation. That's another way of doing it. And one way of doing it, which can be useful, is to have a guided meditation, someone's voice that you like listening to. There's all kind of meditation teachers out there. Some have really nice, peaceful, calming voices that you that you gel with because you just like the voice of a particular person, and listen to that while you meditate. That can be helpful. Do a different kind of meditation. Do metta meditation. Do walking meditation with your eyes open if you feel anxious. There are some people who have negative reaction to meditation. I would not, if you have negative reaction, don't try too hard, because sometimes you destroy meditation by trying too hard when it doesn't work for you, and you can kind of have long-term bad consequences if you do that. So if you have negative reaction like this and you feel anxious and the negative qualities are growing as you meditate, that's usually a sign that you should stop. The negative qualities are growing, don't carry on. If it is becoming better as you meditate, then that is when you carry on. More and more anxious, stop. More and more angry, stop. More and more deluded, stop. More and more confused, stop. More and more clarity, carry on. More and more kindness, carry on. Yeah, that's basically how you decide. It should be going in a positive direction. Okay, everyone, that's all for today. So let's just pay respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha.